Okay, guys, today we are going to discuss resource management on a project. But before going in depth of resource management concepts, resource management related processes or activities, let's have a quick recap what we discussed last last night. Pedro, would you be able to share with us that what you learned from our last session?
Yes, yes, Race. Yesterday we learned about the quality management, wherein we have to develop a quality management plan, and then we should be able to manage the quality and as well as control the quality of the project.
Oh, so these were those three processes that are linked with the quality management, starting with planning for the quality, uh, developing quality messages for our project, uh, and then following that plan to manage quality on our project. By building the quality within our deliverables, by preventing the defects and incorporating the feedback that is received from control quality process. Also, once our deliverables are finished or prepared, under quality control, we inspect, we evaluate, we test the final version of the deliverables for the sake of verification, for the sake of quality conformance. Once deliverables go through quality control process, then they are ready for the customers to review, to accept, and even transition from development to the operations. Yesterday's session was pretty thorough, pretty detailed. We talked about many different tools and techniques that could be used in planning for the quality, assuring and managing quality, and controlling quality. We talked about the tools such as checklist, check sheet, tally sheet, histogram, Pareto diagram, root cause techniques, including fishbone diagram, 5 whys, interrelationship diagram. We also talked about control charts and how they are useful. We talked about statistical sampling, different type of statistical samplings, so on, so forth. Any questions about yesterday's session?
Not from me.
Anyone else? Okay, guys, now we are going to start our next chapter that is on resource management. In this chapter, we are going to talk about different type of resources that are normally used on any project. We will start our discussion by talking about the types of the resources. Let me quickly bring the pen so that we can start our discussion. We can divide our resources into two types. One are human resources, okay, or team. In PMBOK version 5, that was last version, the name of this whole knowledge area was team management instead of resource management. Now they change its name from team or HR management to resource management because resources are not only human but also our physical resources. And when we talk about physical resources, again, they could be of two types. They could be hardware resources. They could be software resources. And can you please give me example of some physical resources? Anyone? Eman?
Sorry, our physical resources, did you say?
Yes. Some examples of physical resources.
Timber, materials.
Yeah, so we can say materials or raw materials. Yeah, what else?
Our network devices like routers, switches.
Yes, or we can say equipment. In telecommunication or network industry, routers, switches, firewalls, multiplexers, antennas, so on and so forth. All these are different type of equipment or IT equipment. Yeah, what else?
Guess machinery comes under equipment, does it?
Yeah, so you can say machinery is one example too. I agreed. What else?
Does that also consider the facilities?
Yeah, facilities. So facilities is another example of physical resources. Anything else?
We did stuff like safety equipment, like
Yeah,
PPE and, that sort of stuff.
personal protection equipment are also one example of our physical resources. What else?
The office
Yes.
equipment or tools?
Yeah, so you can say office equipment and accessories or overall our infrastructure, including buildings, so on and so forth. All these are different examples of our physical resources. Similarly, in the PCs, the laptops, they are also one example of our physical resources or hardware resources. On the other side, we have our technology or software resources, and you can basically just name them. There are too many productivity tools, collaboration tools, communications tools, project management tools, technical tools, engineering tools, drawing tools, desktop tools, you can name it. All these are different type of physical resources uh, that could be used on any project to carry out the project work. On the other side, HR, they are nothing but our project team that could be divided into two types as we previously discussed. Our SMEs, subject matter experts, our engineers, technicians, electricians, um, plumbers, or anyone else who is on the project, or our project management team that help us to carry out project management related activities. Also, when we talk about human resources, not only our project team is human resource, but a few other people who can provide us some advice, some other stakeholders who can work as experts to provide us expert judgment, like our project sponsor or business representatives or our functional managers. Sometimes we call them head of the departments or operation managers or line managers. They are also part of human resources. In total, there are 6 processes when we talked about resource management, starting for the common process, plan resource management. Think about how we are going to estimate the resource for our project need, how to acquire those resources, how to uh, acquire physical resources, how to get project team, and when we acquire project team, how to develop that team, how to manage it during project execution, and how to control our resources, especially our physical resources, including materials, equipment, machinery, facilities, personal PPEs, infrastructures, and our PCs, laptops, so on, so forth. First two processes are in planning. Then there are three processes which are in executing, starting from getting resources, developing team, and managing team. And then one process or activity is in monitoring and controlling, and it is about control our resources, especially physical. Roles and responsibilities. Very, very important when we talk about project team and project manager itself. When we initiate a project, we develop project charter. In project charter, normally we determine the role of a project manager and the authority that is delegated to project manager. Similarly, when we do the planning, especially resource management planning, the project manager, with the help of his team or with under the guidance of project sponsor, he or she determines roles, responsibilities, and the authority that goes with the team members. So, project manager roles, responsibilities, and authority is given to him or her during project initiation at the time of charter development, whereas rest of the team's responsibilities, roles, and authorities are given during the planning for those resources. Any questions here?
No.
Let's move further. As we said that when we talked about resources, the first resource on any project is project manager. And the roles and responsibilities of a project manager, especially when he or she is going to do the resource management work, is given here. We are going to discuss each of these concepts one by one so that we can understand. Sukanya, can you please help me to read the first bullet point?
Sure, sir. Determine what resources you will need.
This finding that what resources we need, the identification of resources, it comes from two places, our scope baseline and our activities. Scope baseline include work breakdown structure, or you can say work packages. When we come to know about the work we need to do, the work packages we need to complete, and the activities that are required to complete those work packages, then it's pretty easy for us to determine who will be the right resources for each activity to be executed, each work package to be completed. Next.
Negotiate with resource managers for the optimum available resources.
So once we determine the resource need, the next step is to get those resources. Either they are physical resources or human resources. We can get those resources from our resource managers or functional manager or head of departments. Sometimes project manager has to negotiate so that he or she can get the right resources or the optimal resources for his or her team. Next.
Work with procurement department if necessary.
So procurement department is involved when we are going to get goods and services from outside. When we talk about services, we are talking about contractors, and when we are talking about goods, mean we have to do procurement of these goods or purchase of these goods. Goods are our physical resources and contractors are our human resources. It means that project manager should have understanding of procurement, purchase, and should be able to work with the legal department so that he or she can give the requirements to the legal departments, related goods and services, and can facilitate the whole process of planning procurement, conducting procurement, and controlling procurement. Next,
Confirm availability of resources assigned.
here when we say resources assigned, do anybody remember when we say that sometimes on projects resources are pre-assigned? At what point of time in a project life cycle we have this thing, resources pre-assigned to the project?
Are we talking like the business analysts at the front end?
Yeah, business analysts. Yeah, I fully agree, Tanya. Business analysts are normally those guys who are there on a project even before it starts. I fully agree. But sometimes the same business analyst might not join the project team. Here, when we are talking about assigned resources or pre-assigned resources or those resources, normally when project charter is developed, okay, where project manager is assigned. At the same time, project manager might already given a team. We call them pre-assigned resources. So at the time of charter, the project manager may have to work with some pre-assigned resources. Now, this was at the time of charter. After that, we discussed too many bits. We have talked about project planning, very thorough planning. Okay, project manager can get help of few pre-assigned resources to do the planning. Okay, however, maybe not the whole team, that is maybe 100 members or 150 members is involved in the planning. It means that once resources are assigned and when they start working, there could be a gap of many days or many weeks. So once work is starting, its project manager responsibility go and confirm that the resources that were pre-assigned during project charter are still there, still available, are they still with the company? If the head of departments still willing to provide those resources for the projects or not. So once resources are acquired, either they are pre-assigned or project manager negotiated with the resource manager to get them. The next step is, Sukanya.
Create project team directory.
Project team directory. So everybody knows that in directory, basically there is a contact and communication related information for each team member. So this is pretty useful because you have to communicate with your team members. If they are only 6 to 10, you can even save their numbers on your mobile. But on the other side, if the teams are not dedicated, they are part-time, the project is being done in the partnership, or if they are virtual team members, in that case, a directory is pretty helpful. And the project management software also provide this facility. Next.
Create project job description for team members and other stakeholders.
So guys, no doubt, if team members are already within the organization, their job descriptions are well defined, they are doing their work. But once they are assigned to a project, it's a responsibility of a project manager to write down the description of each team member, but only for the project. Okay, so this project description could be subset of their main job description, or it could be something totally different as per the need of the project. Next.
Make sure all roles and responsibility on the project are clearly assigned.
It's very important because the responsibility of all is responsibility of none. So Project manager must ensure that everybody should have a very clear idea that what work he or she is going to do. It helps a lot in reduced conflicts on a project. Conflicts are much lesser if responsibilities and roles are well defined. Next.
Understand the team members' needs for training related to their work on the project and make sure they get the training.
And this training should be done before the project work is started, so that project work should be done in an appropriate way. Training could be related to health and safety, could be a technical training, a training on a software, or a training related to project management itself. Any questions here?
Okay.
So let's move further, guys, and keep on discussing our project manager's roles and responsibilities during resource management. Eman, can you please help me to read?
Create a formal plan. Resource management plan topics includes how the team will be involved in the project and what roles they will be performed.
So, resource management plan should be developed. That is a subsidiary plan of project management plan, and it talks about uh, who is the team, what are their responsibilities, how they are involved on the project, are they dedicated team members or part-time team members, so on and so forth. At this point of time, when once resource management plan is completed, the next stage is normally to get the resources, to make a team and manage a team. Okay, and once team management or our day-to-day operations are going on, it's always a good practice that we should keep on sending letters of commendation to the team members and their managers. It helps us to motivate the team throughout our journey of project execution and completion. And team members remain motivated if these type of initiatives are taken by the project manager. Next point.
Make sure needs of all teams members are acknowledged.
So when we talk about team members' needs, what do you think, guys? What could be the different needs for team members? Some examples of team needs.
Flexible hours.
Yeah, the schedule or the hours. Is it what?
When they're available to work hours.
Sorry, I really couldn't hear you. Most probably my Tanya.
So just flexible working hours.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they've got
yeah.
commitment.
True, true. So, I mean, you were talking about working schedule, isn't it, or working hours?
Yes.
Yeah, I fully agree. Working schedule or working hours very, very important. In fact, this is the main source of any conflict on any project between the team members. If schedule is not well defined, roles and responsibilities are also not well defined, then you will find a lot of conflicts on a project. What else?
I'd say the information that they need in order for them to deliver their tasks.
Yeah, right information, right roles and responsibilities, and the communication of that information to the stakeholders or to the team through right channels. All those things are pretty important. What else?
Tools and equipment.
Yeah, so whatever they need should be provided to them. Tools and equipment. Without right tools and equipment, you really cannot do any type of work. So it's pretty important that tools and equipment should be appropriate, should be up to date, and should be right for the project. What else? Again, could be some professional development needs or even their personal needs. Their needs could be related to, as Tanya said, working hours, work from home, uh, sick leaves, so on and so forth, or maybe team member cannot make it at 9 o'clock exactly. Maybe he or she is late like 10 to 15 minutes because of some uh, unavoidable reasons, so on and so forth. So all these needs should be met so that team members should be satisfied, should be motivated on a project, and can become high performing. That is very useful for your project. Another important thing is, once you will be able to align the individual objective, individual team members' objectives with the objectives of the project and the objectives of the organization, then you really see some wonderful results. So it's pretty important that individual objectives should be aligned with the project objectives and the organization's objectives. Next.
Create
Guys,
recognition and yeah.
sorry, sorry,
Um,
guys, just on that particular bullet point, I've got a question.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wonder, how does that work if the project is running an agile approach where, you know, there is no assigned specific or a specific project manager? So who looks after the needs of the team members and looks after the HR
Yeah,
role, basically?
yeah, I fully agree. There is a specific role for this purpose. The role who performs or who demonstrate servant leadership model, if you remember.
Sorry, you're a bit far from your microphone.
Okay, now is it all right?
That's better, thank you.
Yeah, so sorry for this. So remember we were talking about servant leadership on agile projects. Who normally demonstrates servant leadership?
Scrum Master.
Yeah, the Scrum Master. It's the role of a Scrum Master to take care of project team members' needs, protect them from the interruption from outside, shield them from the disturbance, carry lunch and water for them, mean whatever resources, tools and equipment they need, and always keep on working with them during daily work and uh, over the period of iterations. For example, daily scrum or daily iteration, or we call them daily stand-up, where team members meet for 15 minutes and talk about three things: what they did yesterday, what they are going to do today, and is there any impediment or any roadblock. uh, so if there is any roadblock after the meeting, the team member talk with the Scrum Master, and Scrum Master ensure that roadblock is removed. So these all the responsibilities are with the Agile coach or with the Scrum Master.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Yeah, and then next step is create recognition and reward system. Obviously, it is with HR at organizational level, but at project level, if project manager has this authority, then he or she can develop a recognition or reward system as well. Maybe for this, he needs to work with the HR department, but still he can do it. Again, the purpose is to keep motivated the team. Next.
use emotion intelligence.
Yeah, emotion intelligence. This is something getting pretty famous and pretty important in team environment. As a project manager, you should have a good EI level or emotional intelligence level. Emotional intelligence level, can anybody talk about it? What is this? In fact, emotional intelligence, EI, it could be divided into 4 quadrants. Uh, one quadrant is about self. Sorry, one side is for the self. The other side is for others, other team members, other colleagues, project team members, or stakeholders. The first quadrant talk about self-awareness. Mean if someone has good emotional intelligence skills, he or she should be self-aware. He should know that what are his strengths or his or her weaknesses. Now, when he gets angry, what are the things that keep him or her motivated, so on and so forth. That is basically self-awareness. On the other side, the second component is self-control, where not only you are aware of your strengths and weaknesses and your anger, your motivation triggers, so on so forth. On the other side, you should be able to use them in a productive way so that you can have a good control on yourself, so that you can become a very good team members. Then in the third quadrant, it is it talks about awareness about others. Awareness about others. It's good. You will have good emotional intelligence level if you can see uh, what are other feeling, what are the feelings of other people, what they are thinking, why they are thinking in a particular way, what could be the reason they are thinking like this. Uh, understanding others, understanding others' mindsets, others' beliefs, uh, other mental conditions, so that you can behave appropriately. And the last thing is influence others. That's basically the last quadrant or last stage of emotional intelligence. Once you have a good self-awareness, self-control, aware about others' emotions, others' feelings, other thought process, the next step is uh, how to influence other uh, so that you can get some productive outcome from your team, from your colleagues for the betterment. How can you influence them so that they keep on becoming highly performing team members? So this is about emotional intelligence. This is a very hot topic nowadays, very important for the project managers and the project leaders. Any question about it?
Is there some sort of like trainings
Yes.
conducted? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are the skills. These emotional intelligence skills could be achieved by learning about them, by practicing emotional intelligence, and then at the end become pro in emotional intelligence. And then next,
In a change-driven environment, encourage self-organizing teams.
the teams that really don't need micromanagement, the teams who can basically do planning for themselves, uh, can identify the tasks to complete the user stories. They should be self-organizing. They should know that who is capable of what, who can do which type of task more efficiently, more effectively. And also, it's a role of project manager, or here in this scenario you can say Scrum Master, to promote emergent leadership from the team. If there is someone who really want to do who really want to lead the work, give that opportunity to him or her, so that leadership could be emerged from the team. Next.
Plan and manage communication challenges for virtual teams.
So anybody who worked on virtual teams can tell us that communication is a nightmare with the virtual teams because of many different reasons. What could be those reasons, guys?
Poor access.
Yeah, poor access not only to the team members, but also the communication technology could be poor. Mean, if your virtual team is sitting, for example, in India or in Bangladesh or Pakistan or any other country, sometimes it's pretty tough to get better quality communication from them. What else?
Language barriers.
Oh yeah, very important. So uh, even if both team members are both hands of virtual teams, they're speaking, for example, English, but accent is an issue. Uh, for many guys, it's really tough to understand each other's accent. Even the people who are like English speaking from birth, it's their native language. Sometimes they really cannot understand particular slangs of each other. So language is one of the major barrier. What else?
Time zones.
Yeah, very, very important. In fact, the people who are working with the virtual teams, sometimes they have to have their meeting like till 10 p.m. at night. And especially when we are in New Zealand, where we start our day much earlier than many other guys, it become a nightmare. I have seen many head of the departments or product owners because it is a common trend. Product owner is sitting in New Zealand, and rest of the team, the developers, the Scrum Masters, they are sitting, for example, in India or in China. Product owner, as he or she is like voice of a customer, he must need to work with the team. Teamwork start working around like 4 p.m. In the afternoon, and they keep on working till like 10 or 11 p.m. and sometimes product owner's night become a nightmare for him. So time zone, a big challenge. What else?
There's a social aspect as well. So for those people, getting them engaged and actually participating.
Yeah. So again, and for that sake, uh, agile mindset or agile principles promote one thing that okay, if because of some benefits of virtual team members, you are going for virtual team, though it is not highly recommended in agile environment, uh, to basically to get a good know-how between the team members, it's always a good practice that for first few iterations, for first few sprints, bring them together so that they can learn about each other. They have know-how with each other. They can see that how they work. What is the working style of different team members so that later if virtual teams get separated, uh, and team, for example, go back to India, you should have still a good working uh, understanding between virtual team members. And then any other example?
I think there's also this lack of ability or maybe difficulty of determining bodily cues um, of one is just was just mentioned,
Yeah,
the engagement. And like right now, you don't see us. There's
true.
probably like there's a little bit of lack of connection right there because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't see our faces.
In fact, that's true. Yeah, and that's why face-to-face communication is the richest way of communication. That's the richest medium as compared to video or audio or text. So yeah, real touch is still missing
The
over.
personal, yeah,
Yeah, that
personal touch is
true,
missing.
true. I fully agreed. And also sometimes if teams are from different cultures, cultural difference is also an issue for virtual teams. So it's a responsibility of project manager to find ways to improvise so that communications and other collaboration challenges between virtual teams should be resolved and should be and their impact should be mitigated or minimized. Uh, let's keep on continuing the same discussion. Pedro, can you please read through this slide?
Tailor the resource management plan to the needs of the project.
Tailoring is very important. You have already seen that every bit, every artifact, every plan or the document should be tailored as per the need of the project. Same for resource management plan, project manager should tailor it as per the need of the project, project team members, and the organization's overall environment. Next.
Encourage collaboration among team members.
So that conflict should be reduced, problem should be resolved, and team can become like a unit, as a high performing unit. Next.
Determine what physical resources will be needed and when.
In fact, both of these components, what and when, are important. Just think about a crane or a excavator, uh, especially all those big machineries. Not only it's important that what type of physical resource is required, but when are they required? Because most of the time you hire them and their hiring cost is quite expensive. You really cannot afford that you hired a crane and crane is not in use for a week or two. You are going to pay hundred of thousand of dollars, isn't it? Yeah. Next.
Determine the quality, grade, and amount of physical resources needed.
Yeah, again, the same thing. Otherwise, it is going to add a lot of cost, unnecessary cost uh, on your project budget. Next.
Plan ahead to ensure physical resources are available and accessible when needed.
Yeah, so again, you also really don't want that your team is available and physical resources are not available, or physical resources are available but your team is not there. Similarly, not only physical resources should be available on time, but they should be accessible as well. They shouldn't be locked. They should be in use, and you have the right team members with the skills who can use those physical resources. Next.
Use resources efficiently.
So that you can reduce the cost, you can reduce the waste. For example, JIT, just in time. You need excavator for 4 hours. Uh, just leave it for 4 hours and it should be on site when you are going to use it. It shouldn't be there like 1 day or 2 days before you need it. Otherwise, what would happen? You have to pay for that. Get excavator, do the digging, and then uh, give it back and pay for only 4 hours. So JIT is one way of using the resources efficiently. What else?
Look for ways to improve resource utilization.
So in fact, that's the same thing, the efficiency and effective utilization of the resources. And next.
Evaluate and select appropriate methods of managing physical resources.
It include using state-of-the-art techniques in inventory management, in asset management, so that you can manage your physical resources in an appropriate manner. So these were some roles and responsibilities for a project manager when he or she is doing resource management related work. Now let's talk about our first process, that is planning for the resource management. And once we do planning for the resource management, we think about how we are going to manage our resources. We do that thing within our plan, that is our resource management plan, and that resource management plan should be tailored as per the need of the project and should be able to answer these questions which are given here. What resources are required, both human and physical resources, their quantity, and the time, how long they are required, and how these resources could be uh, acquired. Do we need to get them internally within the organization? If they are not available, then can we have this hiring the contractor facility available or not? If we are going to buy the resources, buy the goods, are they available within the country, or we have to import them, so on, so forth. And the same point is elaborated in next bullet. And we also think about resources cost, either it's team or physical resources. Obviously, we really want to spend an optimal cost on our resources. We really don't want to pay too much to our contractors or while hiring or leasing or buying our physical resources. Also, we need to be careful about this bullet. It is talking about that sometimes it happens that our project team members, they are only available for a limited time, or our physical resources, they are only available for limited time. Just think about Auckland Tunnel. When it was an Auckland Tunnel project, they have to hire uh, the drill machine uh, from Japan for 2 years only. Mean it was available only for 2 years. During that time, the whole tunnel must be digged. Okay. So uh, our project schedule highly depends on the availability of our machinery, our equipment, our resources. And the last thing is, once resources are on site, how to manage them in an effective manner. We can also use some techniques such as lean so that we can minimize the waste. Previously, I mentioned that purpose of lean manufacturing or lean way of working is to reduce the weight. To reduce the waste or eliminate the waste. This waste could be related to time, could be effort, could be resources. In fact, there are 7 principles that are linked with the lean management, lean project management, starting from eliminate waste. Can you give me examples? What could be a waste?
Double handling.
Yeah. So the first example was
Double handling.
double handling, mean extra work.
Oh, just when you are, say, moving materials around several times.
Oh, yeah. So movement is a waste. Very good point, Tanya. So movement of the objects or mean if you have to shift the resources from one point to the other point again and again, this movement is a work. We must need to reduce it. Yes, what else?
Extra processing.
Yeah, extra processing. So extra processing is also an example of waste. We really want that there shouldn't be duplication of work, duplication of process components. So extra processing is always a waste. What else?
Waiting times or
Yeah,
waiting.
fantastic. So waiting is a waste. We must reduce waiting time. What else? For example, extra paperwork. It is also a waste. Paperwork should be done. That is uh, barely sufficient, not more than that. What else?
Rework and defects.
Yeah, so rework or defects, they are our waste. We must minimize the defects on any project. What else? For example, context switching. Context switching is when there are handoffs. Mean when work is handed off from one person to the other person. So as many context switching will be involved, there will be more waste of time, more waste of productivity, more waste of resources. All these are different examples of wastes, starting from double handling or a movement, context switching, extra paperwork, extra processing, waiting time, rework, all these are different examples of waste, and lean focus on minimizing them. Then, yes, Tanya.
I was gonna say inventory.
Yeah, inventory. You're talking about,
Just like over ordering, having high stocks.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the opposite of just in time.
yeah, true. In fact, that's why JIT is a derivation of lean method. Just in time is a derivation of lean method. You can think of it is just one type of lean method. Not only JIT, but also Kaizen, that is continuous improvement, but also Agile. All these are derivations of lean. Lean was first introduced into automotive manufacturing by Deming. Uh, if you remember the famous Deming cycle of plan, do, check, act, PDCA cycle. Okay, he was the one who introduced process optimization, waste minimization, and call it lean manufacturing. One derivation of lean manufacturing is lean product development, and lean product development is nothing but our agile product development. So development work that is on lean basis is just like an agile way of uh, working. And the second principle for lean is empower the team. And we have already talked about it. When we say empower the team, we are talking about self-directed, self-organizing team where they have authority to manage and organize their work, but have the responsibility as a team, not as an individual in a team, and also where uh, experiments are promoted, where if there are any mistakes, that mistakes are um, corrected, but those mistakes are not accounted for something like for the punishment. And we foster an environment where leadership is emerged from the team. This is empower the team. And then next is uh, deliver fast. What do you think, guys? What does it mean, deliver fast? Iterative way of working. Okay. Iterative and incremental. Maybe if you remember when we were talking about project management approaches, we talked about a continuum. On one side, we have waterfall approach. On other side, we had agile approach. And in the middle, we have iterative and incremental approaches. Uh, Agile itself is nothing but the combination of iterative and incremental approaches, and the purpose is to do work in a time boxed fashion, meaning iterations, and deliver the product or the components of a product or the features uh, in an early and often manner, that is deliver fast, so that customer or our stakeholders can start using the product as early as it is developed or only some components of it are developed. The advantage, return of return on investment starts early, payback period reduces. So this is all the advantages of delivering fast. And then there comes optimize the whole. Optimize the whole. Anyone? Tanya.
Is it just looking at the whole process and
Yes.
yeah, just trying to optimize it as a whole rather than in subset?
Yeah, because the whole is bigger than some of the components. This is a concept. Okay. When we talk about a system normally have multiple components into it. Okay. Those components could be the departments, the technology, the architecture, the resources, the infrastructure. Similarly, if you talk about process has its own components, its own steps. When you think about a system, about a process, about a solution, always think in a system thinking way, where you are not only narrow down your thinking to one component that is under problem or under investigation, but you should think the whole system and optimize the whole system, because uh, the whole is bigger than the sum of the components. And then next point, build quality in, we have already talked about it. Uh, Number 6 is deferred decisions. What does it mean? Anyone?
Some of it's about just keeping your options open
Yeah,
and continue collecting information so that you've got everything to make a proper decision.
true. So keep on, don't make early decisions so that you need not to take the U-turn. Keep on taking your time, make the decisions at the last possible moment. We are not saying delay the decisions. We are saying that make the decision at the last possible and responsible moment, so that you should have more bigger picture available for you. And you can make much more informed decision. And then there comes amplify learning. It is talking about collective learning, building on each other's knowledge, knowledge sharing, knowledge management uh, within the team, so on, so forth. So this is lean. Any question about it? Let's move further, guys, and keep on discussing our process one. Plan resource management. When we are thinking about our resources, our already project management plan and some of its components such as scope baselines, quality management plan, stakeholder engagement plan, and procurement management plan, if they are already developed, they are helpful to plan for the resources. Similarly, when we are planning for the resources, we always think about our EEFs, enterprise environmental factors, including company culture, company's architecture, existing systems, available technologies, so on, so forth. Uh, There could be multiple factors that you can think about while you are planning for your resources. Those factors involve what are and how many different organizations are there who will be involved in a project. Those organizations could be some regulatory authorities, government authorities, or if your project is a joint venture where multiple companies are coming together and doing a project together. Okay, this is one thing you must consider because it impacts how you work as a team. Are there any hidden agenda if there are multiple organizations? If there are some stakeholders who are against the project, what about your team members? Are they pre-assigned or you need to hire them? If they are co-located or they are virtual team members, so on so forth. Is there uh, any help available to get the contractors on the project in case if we need a specialized resource for our project? Can our team members go for a particular training, so on so forth. All these are different factors you may consider while developing your resource management plan. Similarly, you can use organizations current resources, current lesson learned, current repositories, current templates, policies, procedures to develop a suitable resource management plan for your organization. Variety of tools and techniques are used while developing our plan. One of them is responsibility assignment matrix. It is nothing but a matrix where you have on one end uh, the team members, for example, Frank, Tanya, Sukanya, Pedro, so on and so forth. On the other side, you have work packages. Okay, so team here, work packages here, and which work package is assigned to which team member, so on, so forth. One specific type of RAM is Rasi chart. Rasi chart is just like a RAM, but it talks about 4 components, and these 4 components are uh, who is responsible for a work package, who is accountable, to whom we should consult, and to whom we should inform. On the other side, we have, for example, activities or work packages. Work package 1, who is responsible? We can say, okay, responsible is, for example, Tanya and Sukanya. Who is accountable? No doubt, Tanya and Sukanya is working on this project as a pair, but responsible for this work package is, for example, Tanya. To whom we can consult? We can consult with Pedro, and who should be just informed? For example, Eman. Important thing here is accountable should be only one person. Responsibility could be with more than one person, but accountability should be just one person. Otherwise, accountability of all is accountability of none. Uh, consult, uh, Consultancy could be done with multiple people, and information could be shared with multiple team members or stakeholders. But for exam purposes, remember that accountability always lies with one person. This is Rasi chart. In fact, each project manager develop one Rasi chart for well-defined roles and responsibilities. Any question?
No.
Few other tools and techniques to develop a suitable resource management plan. OBS, or organizational breakdown structure, or you can also call it organizational chart. From there, you can find out the departments and the team members which are linked with those departments who are responsible for different tasks. And then there comes RBS. RBS is resource breakdown structure. Here, sometimes you also call it team chart. Team chart and RBS both are same things. Here, instead of dividing the whole project into phases and work packages, you divide the whole project based on the resources and what work they are going to do. This is called team chart or resource breakdown structure. And then work breakdown structure, you already know about it, where you decompose your project into the work packages. Position descriptions, we already talked about it. Project manager must use or must develop position descriptions for the team members, but only for the project work, not their standard work or operations. Physical resource documentation, it is talking about inventory management, asset management, so on and so forth. Then another technique is organizational theories. Understanding of our organization's theories are very important for project managers and project leaders so that they can develop a suitable resource management plan that can not only help to get optimal resources, human resources, but also convert those human resources into a high performing team. Output of this process is nothing but a resource management plan, and we already talked about what should be included in resource management plan. Now, once our plan is developed, the next, uh, sorry, in this slide, it is talking about resource management plan include two types of plans. One is for human resources and the other is for physical resources. We already covered many different bits about resource management plan. So therefore, I am moving further. There is a concept called team charter. What do you think, guys? What is a team charter? Pedro, what do you think? What is a team charter?
I think it's more of the definition what the team can work on or the scope that the team will work on, and how are they going to do it, and all the bounds and boundaries and limitations of the team.
Yeah, so you can also say that this is like ground rules for a team, because when team members come together, there must be a charter or ground rules around which team should work. Those ground rules could be about conflict resolution, could be problem solving, about decision making, about team meetings, about planning, so on and so forth. It the ground rules or team charter determines that how team will work in a coordinated and collaborative fashion. If there are no ground rules, we really don't have any idea that if conflict comes between two members, how to resolve it. Uh, how long should our meetings run? One meeting can run for 3 hours and it would be just sheer wastage of time for everyone, so on and so forth. So, for example, keeping meetings for 30 minutes each week, no more than that, it is just one example of team charter or ground rules. Then there comes our second process. It is estimate activity resources. Sorry. You already remember during scheduling what work we did? We define the activities, we sequence them. Once activities are defined and sequenced, we can also estimate the activity resources at the same time as we are estimating the duration. In fact, estimate activity resources and the duration, they go together because depend on the resource, depend on the expertise of the team members, we normally determine the duration of any activity. Similarly, estimate cost for the activities also done at the same time. In other words, all the estimation, either it is about resources, about the duration or the cost, could be done in parallel in an iterative and integrative fashion. Uh, to do the activity resource estimation, few of the inputs that could be used are our scope baseline that provide us work breakdown structure, scope, and work breakdown structure dictionary, and also cost estimating techniques. Once our resources are estimated, the next step is how to get those resources. Again, both the project team and physical resources. The first step is go back to your charter, the project charter, and find out who were the pre-assigned resources, who were already assigned team members on our project, if they are still available or not. If not, what to do? And if there are no pre-assigned team members, how to get those team members from the resource managers, functional managers, or head of the departments. And if team members are not available within the organization, how to get new employees, uh, how to get new contractors, or if we are not going to hire new contractors, maybe we are just outsourcing the work. For example, instead of conducting training within the organization, you can outsource the training. You can outsourcing the agile consultancy, and agile coaching could be done uh, from another company, from a consulting organization, so on, so forth. And how to use lean methodologies to minimize the waste so that we can optimize our resources. And the last bit is uh, risks, the risks associated with the resources. For example, uh, you got 10 team members working on your team, suddenly 3 team members left. Okay, then there would be a risk. How to manage that risk? What is the contingency plan in that sake? Because bottleneck is created in your team. Uh, they were key team members. What to do? Nobody else can do their work. What should be the strategy for that? So on, so forth. When we acquire our teams or resources, we also think about how they will work together or how they will work. Are they dedicated teams, 40 hours working only on the project, or they part-time, giving few of them are giving 10 hours, other are giving 30 hours, few of them are part-time, sorry, few of them are on 0.5 Fs, so on so forth. Also, if project is a joint venture, a partnership where team members are coming from many different organizations. One example is there is an organization called RCG in New Zealand. It is called Rural Connectivity Group. It is a government initiative. The purpose is to provide the telecommunications and 3G or 4G facility to every corner of New Zealand. The funding is provided by government, at least 50% of the funding to rural connectivity group, whereas rest of the funding is with our uh, service providers like Vodafone, 2 Degrees or Spark. So they do a lot of different projects, and the team resources come from Vodafone, 2 Degrees, Spark, and many other small companies. And also there are team resources which are under RCG, the Rural Connectivity Group. When this type of joint ventures are there, things are pretty tough because everybody is coming from a different culture and their interest level could be different. Similarly, if your team members are virtual, then what to do? How to take care of their communication needs? What could be the other challenges? So on, so forth. When we are getting team, we should have understanding what does it mean pre-assignment, how to do negotiation with the resource managers to get optimal resources. If there are virtual teams, how to cater for their needs. And when there is a decision making, how different decision making techniques could be used by the project managers. So, for example, multi-criteria decision analysis. We learned about multi-criteria decision analysis yesterday. Output of acquire resources are nothing but our physical resources, our project teams, and their calendars. Develop team. I'm going to discuss this bit, the rest of the processes comparatively quickly, so that you can understand what is important, not only just a theory and theory. Develop team is very important. When you bring your team members, they are not a team. They are just like a working group from all different departments or from all different organizations. Now, as a project manager, you have to show your leadership skills to convert that working group into a highly performing team, so that team should keep on working with each other throughout the life cycle of a project. Turnover should be less. People not only do the work but enhance their own knowledge and skill. They should work in a in a collaborative fashion. They should do a teamwork. All these things are important and are achievable when you do a lot of different activities, and we are going to talk about them soon. In fact, as a project manager, you can use some motivational theories to develop the team. These theories are given here. Can anybody read for me, Tanya, their names?
Yep. So McGregor theory of X and Y.
Yeah, so I'm going to discuss McGregor's theory of X and Y in the coming slide. So let's just go through the names.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, McClelland's theory of needs or acquired needs theory, and Herzberg's two-factor theory of motivation.
So let's have a look on McGregor's theory of X and Y. It is a very simple theory. What it says, theory X talks about those project managers who believes in micromanagement. According to them, if people are not managed on a micro level, they really don't work. People really don't want to work. We have to manage them. We have always need to direct them. We have to take work out of our team members. This is called theory X. On the other side, there are some project managers who believe on theory Y, who thinks that people are self-motivated. We need not to do micromanagement. If we give authority, we give flexibility to the team members, they perform well. In other words, they show trust on your team members. As a PMI believes in theory Y, not in theory X. PMI recommends that project managers should believe on theory Y, not on theory X. Also, there is another theory normally used by Japanese called theory Z, where project managers not only delegate the authorities but take care of professional or even the personal needs of the team members. They really go to the next level. They take care of their health, they take care of their family issues, whatever support that is needed, they provide that support. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this is a pyramid or a hierarchy. And this hierarchy consists of 5 components, starting from physiological, all the way from safety, social esteem to self-actualization. And what Maslow's hierarchy theory of needs says, it says that until lower level of this hierarchy is not fulfilled, for example, a physiological need of your employees are not fulfilled, they will not even think about safety, social esteem, or self-actualization. And physiological needs are need for air, water, food, housing, and clothing. This must be provided to your employees. Otherwise, they will not even think about uh, stability, security, freedom, because they are hungry. They don't have anything to eat, they don't have anything to wear, they don't have anything, any place to live. They really don't talk about, they really don't think about the security of their life, uh, or their family's life, or team members life. They don't think about stability, they don't think about freedom from harm, because these bits are the most important bits in anyone's life. Similarly, until security, stability, freedom from harm, and physiological needs are not fulfilled, people really don't think about social things like love, affection, approval, friends, families, association, because if someone is jobless, he really doesn't think about what activity I'm going to do on this weekend. Am I going for labor? Oh, sorry. Am I going for barbecue or going to Coromandel? Nothing, because he or she is jobless. He is worried about uh, his job security, so on, so forth. Similarly, esteem cannot be produced uh, uh, in the team members until their physiological safety and social needs are not fulfilled. If family life is not going well, they really don't think about accomplishment, respect, attention, or appreciation. Um, Similarly, self-actualization, that is last level, that could be only achieved when rest of all the needs are fulfilled. So as a project manager, take care of these needs so that your team become uh, more self-organized, self-motivated, and can reach to this level. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Any question?
It's a good demonstration of where Japanese theory Z employers are fulfilling those needs right from the bottom.
Yeah, true. So when we talk about theory Z, they always think about uh, employees' basic needs, their safety and security needs, or even taken care of their social needs, so that they there should be self-esteem in the employees and self-actualization in the employees, and they can become highly performing. And then there comes next theory by McClelland. How can we pronounce it, Tanya?
How do you pronounce that? McClelland.
Yeah. So it is McClelland's theory of needs. Is it like an Australian name or what?
No, I was going to say English of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of the history, though.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
comes under a different model as well.
Yep. Because I have seen many Australians with this type of name, like McGraths or McDermott or so on and so forth. Yeah. Okay. What this theory states, different people are motivated from different things. For example, few people love the achievement. Uh, when they complete a project, they achieve something, they get recognized for their achievement, then they are more motivated. Okay. However, it's pretty important that when you are going to give responsibilities or challenges to the team members so that they can achieve that and you recognize for their effort, you should keep one thing in mind, that uh, as challenges become difficult and difficult, uh, motivation level keep on increasing, but those challenges should not reach to a point where people think that they are not achievable. The point where they think that that challenge is unachievable or unreachable, their motivation goes down like this. So as a project manager, you should have this understanding. Then there are few people who work better, more motivated fashion when they are affiliated with the team. They love to work in that team with those colleagues because they have good working environment among themselves. So they believe in more like approval than recognition. For them, affiliation with the team, with the organization, with the project manager is more important than the achievements or power. There are few team members who like to have authority, like to have power and the responsibility. They are basically type of leaders who really want to take leads in many different initiatives. They like to organize, they like to influence others. So you always need to think about different people, different needs for the motivation, and give them that thing, and then see what wonders happen. Then there comes our next theory, that is Herzberg two-factor theory of motivation. It talks about hygiene factors and motivating factors. Hygiene factors are necessary factors for any teams to be motivated. If these factors are not available, your team cannot be motivated. And the factors are working conditions. If they are bad, or if you're not going to pay salary on time, or you're disturbing their personal life or relationship at work, or there are security or status issues, no way, team cannot be motivated. But remember, hygiene factors, though they are necessary factors, they are not sufficient factors for the motivation. They may need something more than that. Salary, good, it's coming, but it's not compulsory that they are going to, it is going to motivate us. Some motivating agents or motivating factors that you can use on top of hygiene factors are given responsibility, given challenge, self-actualization, professional growth, and recognition. They really work to motivate the team members. We are talking about developing team. We really want, as a project manager, that our team should be a cohesive team so that they can achieve the project objectives, can achieve the can perform as per the need of the uh, project and stakeholder requirements. For that sake, project manager plays an important role. He or she can guide, manage, and improve the interaction between the team members, can create or foster an environment where team members can come together, can learn from each other, collaborate with each other, and also can conduct a number of games or activities or team building activities, taking teams to maybe for the bowling or for the tennis, totally depends what team likes, or for the lunches or dinners or doing meetings over coffees. All these things keep on motivating uh, teams. But remember, team building requires a concrete effort. It's not something that comes without any effort. You have to put effort. For example, you can involve your team in the planning, in the development of work breakdown structure. If team will develop the work breakdown structure, they will adopt it. They will have their buy-in in that work breakdown structure. And you should doing all those team building activities involving teams in the planning from day one. Once if once team building is done, basically you will see an environment of collaboration, environment of trust and hope, and affiliation among the team members. I was thinking to do an activity, but it looks like we might not have enough time for the activity. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to discuss one of the way of team building, that is Tuckman ladder model. Uh, with the help of our whiteboard. So Tuckman ladder model says that when you bring the people together, mean you are basically forming your team. This is first step. Once you form the team, then you might expect storming among the team members. They start arguing with each other. They start uh, uh, sharing their opinions, their beliefs with each other, not listening to other people, but it's all right. It happens because with the passage of time, your team go towards norming. They start normalizing. They start understanding what are the expertise of other team members, who are good in what who has leadership skills, who are quiet, who are introvert or extrovert, so on and so forth. Once that is done, then they start performing as a highly performing team. This is the point where team start working in an effective manner, in a collaborative manner, start achieving project objectives efficiently and effectively. And then last stage of Tuckman ladder model is adjourning. Adjourning is once project work is completed, team is just adjourn, but adjourn as a high performing team instead of uh, they moved on with fighting with each other. In other words, we really like team to go through these stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Sometimes it may happen that from storming, there is a direct jump to the adjourning when conflicts couldn't be resolved among the team members. Uh, Similarly, it's not compulsory that all the teams go through all these Tuckman ladder stages. Sometimes teams are ready, you know, are working together for a long time. They already know about each other, each other's skills. They are already normalized. They just do the performing and they adjourn at the end. So it's not compulsory that each team go through this ladder, Tuckman ladder. They, if they are new teams, they would go. Otherwise, they will not go. Now, on the next stage, sorry. Uh, Now, our next discussion is about uh, how these stages impact on the performance. Let me draw it. Initially, when team is formed, it is just formed. When it storms, performance goes down. Okay. However, once they start norming, their performance keep on improving. And when they reach to stage 4, their performance really improves quite a lot. And at the end, they adjourn. Okay. Let me explain you again. Once team is formed, this is that point. Okay. This is, for example, performance. On next stage, okay, I'm writing it F. On next stage, when they're storming, they are here. Their performance is going down. And when they are norming, their performance is improving. And it keep on improving so that it can reach to the maximum point where the team can become highly performing. On this point of time, our team is highly performing. They are operating on their full capacity, you can say. Okay, so on this stage, they become highly performing teams. And then they keep on working as a highly performing team till project is finished, and at the end, they adjourn. Did it make some sense?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Now, uh, I'm going to give you a data here so that you can tell me something. I'm putting data in a random manner. Normally on different stages of Tuckman model, we call teams with different names, okay? You need to tell me that what would be the naming convention used for different stages of ladder, okay? So 4 different naming conventions. Now you need to think and you need to tell me. When we will call our team a pseudo team or a real team or a working group or a potential team, and just excuse me for my spellings. Okay, just think about it. You can also discuss with each other and let me know your final decision.
So guys, can I just clarify, you're looking for us to say something like a pseudo team is at the forming stage or the working group is
Yes,
at something stage. Okay.
exactly.
Well, yeah, thank you, everyone. So maybe potential team is the forming. Anyone? Any advances?
Yeah, I think the pseudo team is part in the forming and storming stages.
Okay.
I want your final decision. When what would be the naming convention at farming stage, for example?
I would say potential because they haven't really worked together at that point. We're just talking about something to happen in the future, not high potential team, are we?
I mean, potential team mean the team that has a potential to become a team.
I think at the beginning is a working group, Jonathan.
Okay, why?
Because still they did not reach and to be potential or to be like a team, you know, they're just a group of people still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a group that's being asked to work together, is what you're saying, eh?
Yeah, so you all are agreed that during farming, they are working group.
Let's do that.
Okay, so yeah, let's move further. What about storming?
Pseudo team, I think.
Yeah, I'd go pseudo team.
What do you think, Pedro? Not a real team, but a pseudo team, huh?
Yeah, I think it's a pseudo team.
Okay, at the time of storming. And at the time of norming?
Real team.
Yes. Anybody else?
I think it's a potential team.
The team that got a potential. To become,
Real team at the end, yeah.
yeah, to become a
Real thing.
real team that is high performing. And at the end, we call them happy team when they adjourn. We really want that our team is adjourned on a happy note. So different naming conventions that we can give to our uh, teams. On the other side, for project manager, for different stages, for different type of teams or working group, they can show different type of leadership styles. I'm going to write those leadership styles here. Then you need to think about which leadership style will best suit for which stage. Directing, supporting, and then coaching, and then, for example, delegating. Four leadership styles. What do you think? Which style fits to which stage?
Directing would go first when you're trying to set up the team.
Okay, so when it would be at the time of forming, it would be
I'm just saying directing because you're trying to give everyone instructions, give them clear direction on what needs to be done, giving them a big picture vision.
what other guys think?
I think it's coaching.
Okay, coaching. Okay, yeah. Okay, guys. Another explanation is when it is a directing, it is more direction and less support. Supporting, it is more support, uh, less direction. In coaching, highly directive, highly supportive. And in delegating, low supportive, low directive. I really cannot write it, otherwise you will know the answers. But at the end, I will write what work a leader does in all these leadership styles. Okay, so directing by Tanya and Sukanya was coaching. Anybody else?
I think at the beginning is gonna be supporting. I think more supporting at the beginning.
At the time of working group. Anybody else? Pedro, what do you think?
I think it's more of at the end, at the start of the forming, it's more of a directing.
Okay, so 2 votes for directing and 1 vote for coaching, 1 for supporting, isn't it? Okay, temporary, I'm leaving directing here. Next, at storming stage, what do you think, guys? Would it be supportive, coaching, delegating, or directing?
Coaching.
Okay,
Yep, I'd agree with coaching.
Pedro. Sukanya. Okay, so coaching. And during norming,
Supporting.
I think directing.
Okay, you are thinking directing. So, for example, directing. Okay, and then during when they are high performing team or real team
Supporting here only. I
supporting.
think the first one dedicating. Yeah, the first one dedicating.
Mhm. Okay, the first one is delegating, and here you are saying directing. Anybody else?
I don't know.
Yeah, delegation.
Delegating. Pedro.
I think it's more of supporting.
So Pedro says supporting. The correct answers are what I'm going to do here. Oh, it took the whole thing. Okay. So that's the correct answer. But basically it is saying that if this is a, these are 4 quadrants, okay. First quadrant is, for example, directing. During this leadership style, more directions are given, less support is given because the team is new, they are working group, they really don't know anything. They just need more and more direction to do the work. In the second stage, it comes coaching. Coaching involves high support and high direction, both. Because team at that point is in the storming stage. There are conflicts. They need support. They also need the direction as well because they don't have their own direction. They still didn't become their high performing or real team. Okay, and then there comes uh, potential team here, uh, high support and less direction. More support is needed and less direction is needed so that team can become a high performing team. And once it has become high performing team, then both low support and low direction is needed. So directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating is the right sequence. And I think Tanya, you told me in this sequence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is more logical, more natural, and that is the sequence. Any question, guys? Okay. So now we are going back to our slides so that we can finish them. We have very short time with us. As a project manager or project leader, you should know about the negotiation, how to negotiate, to resolve the problem, to make the decision, so on and so forth. How to resolve the conflicts, how to influence others, using your communications and persuasive skills so that agreement could be reached if there are some conflicts, providing training, if possible, provide have a dedicated team in a co-located manner, but if there are virtual teams, take care of their communications needs and the risks associated with the virtual teams. You also need to work you also need to monitor your team performance. It involves individual assessment, that is each team member assessment separately, not the whole team assessment. Then team assessment and project performance appraisals that you provide to their bosses, your team's managers. And normally you do your project performance appraisals on the individual level. You effectively use the communication technologies. In fact, you are much more aware with the communication technologies than me. It could be your websites, portals, videos, audios, conferencing, email, text, or online chats. You also develop a recognition and reward system so that your team should be kept motivated. Output of developed team is you get the performance assessment of your teams, and also from here, from developed team, you go to your next process, that is manage team. Manage team is nothing but your day-to-day operations as a project manager. You can just think about those things. It is about directing work, doing the meetings, talking with the stakeholders, and too many other things. So I'm not going in depth of them because we have comparatively shorter time. Uh, when you're managing team, most of the inputs are coming from your previous process, that is the developed team, uh, your team assessments you did so that you can know about your team. What are their needs, what are their personal professional training needs, how to resolve conflicts among them, how to resolve the problem among them, how to influence in the right way, observe what is happening. This is what you do during uh, your day-to-day work. You also maintain an issue log as a part of this process. Issues that comes within the team or the issues that comes uh, from external stakeholders or any other issues related to physical resources. You maintain them in an issue log, and a simple issue log with different columns are shown here. These columns talk about what are the issues when they generated, uh, who who raised those issues, who is the person responsible to resolve it, when he is going to resolve it, what is current status, active, resolved, so on, so forth. Uh, Management and leadership styles. We have already seen few leadership styles, but there are some other styles as well, including directing, facilitating, coaching, supporting, influencing, delegative, consultative, consensus, democratic, participative, bureaucratic, analytical, charismatic, autocratic, consultative, autocratic, laissez-faire, and driver. I'm just going to discuss few of them. Consultative, for example, those leaders who consult with everyone, then make the decision. Consensus, those leaders who make the decisions based on consensus. Democratic, where they take they get the participation from everyone and make decisions in a democratic manner, maybe based on voting, based on majority, so on and so forth. Bureaucratic, that follow formal processes. Analytical, who got good cognitive skills and good analytical skills. Charismatic, such as like political leaders. Autocratic, who make decision by himself. Consultative autocratic, a manager who consult with everyone but make the decision by himself. Laissez-faire, these are the managers who just sit back and just like a lazy project manager and delegate all the work to the team. Driver, who basically lead the work. Each project manager may have different type of powers, but they should use these powers in a smart way. The power could be formal, that comes with your position. You are a project manager. You have this power to basically take one particular type of actions. Reward, uh, if you have authority, you may reward your team members, maybe with the parking, with the extra sick leave, or allowed to come late a bit, or you also have this type of power that is plenty or coercive power, where people do your work because they are afraid that you can put some plenty on them, you can penalize them. Expert, this power comes when you are expert of doing things, then everybody listen to you. Referent, this is a very good power that you get. And this talks about your working relationship with your team, and your team members really want to work with you. They really want to be like you. You are just like an ideal for them. Conflict management, very important. Conflicts always come on the project. You want to reduce them, but they are inevitable. They come because of many reasons, because of nature of the projects or the constraints or when you have to get resources from the resource managers, then conflict may come. However, you can use some strategies to avoid the conflicts, better information sharing, better definition of roles and responsibilities, taking and the team understanding, okay, this is a project, where it's going, what are the constraints and limitations for us, how decisions are being made, what changes are coming, so on and so forth. Also, proper definition of roles and responsibilities reduce the conflict. Working assignments, if you make working assignments interesting and challenging, people really focus on work instead of on conflicts. Main sources of conflicts are not personal, but priority wise or frequency wise, more conflicts comes because of schedules, as Tanya mentioned previously, project priorities, resources, technical opinions, administrative procedures, and cost. Personal clashes are comparatively less. A variety of different techniques project manager can use, but remember guys, this technique, collaboration or problem solving, is the best technique while resolving the conflict. You shouldn't go for compromise. Compromise say that, okay, everybody do lose-lose. This situation is a lose-lose situation. Both parties lose something. This is compromise. On the other hand, collaboration is a win-win situation because problem is resolved. And then avoidance or withdrawal, it is a lose-win situation. One party withdraw and other party win. So this is not a best method either. Smoothing is like putting the issue as a back burner and say, we will see next time, keep on focusing on work and don't resolve the issue, don't resolve the problem. This back burner really doesn't help, and issue comes again and again. And forcing, that is basically, I'm saying do work in this way, just do it because I have the power. But again, these techniques are not as good as this technique. Emotional intelligence, we already talked about it. It helps us to bring the best out of the people. Manage teams, this is the next process. We already talked about this process a bit, our day-to-day operations, and there are few concepts you might be interested. One is expectancy theory. This theory simply says that people only do that work where they feel that, okay, if they will do this work, then it will result in something good, something productive, and we will be recognized because of this work. Arbitration, this is when there are conflicts and the team cannot resolve by itself, then they can go for arbitration. Perks, some extra benefits you can give to different project team members. Fringe benefits, they are standard benefits. Perks are special benefits, fringe benefits are standard benefits. Output of managed team is when team members finish the work, you release the team members. That's the output. Change requests, issue logs, and some other project documents and updates in them. Appraisal, then evaluations. Then there comes controlled resources. Here, when we talk about controlled resources, that is our last process. It talks about how to control our physical resources, our infrastructure, facilities, equipment, so on and so forth, using asset management techniques, inventory management techniques, and maintaining our project documents such as issues logs, lesson learned registers, resource assignments, project schedules, resource breakdown structures, so on, so forth. And that was our last process. We are ending today's session here because it's already 11 o'clock. Time is finished. We will start our next topic tomorrow. Any questions, just feel free to ask.
No questions from me. Thank you.
Anybody else?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone and have a good night.
Thank you.